worked with several of you. Today we're going to cover, let me just switch this here, close this down. So today we're going to cover the CRM and mobile capabilities of SAP Business One. We're going to talk about sales opportunities. We're going to go through that module, the out-of-the-box CRM capabilities of the system, and then we're going to talk about how it interacts with the app in terms of working with the CRM. And I'll show you a couple of reports and things related to that. So let's jump into SAP Business One right now. Super secret password. Oh, type that correctly. So CRM is a lot of different things to a lot of different people. So because SAP Business One is so customizable, I'm just going to show the sales opportunity module, and what we're going to do is I'll show you the opportunities, and you can kind of assume my scenario is, maybe a little bit longer of a sales cycle. This isn't necessarily what you would want to use for high volume type CRM necessarily, but you can keep it really simple. So just keep an open mind with the customization. We can work with much more formal or longer sales cycles, and we can also work with simple stages and just something used to track, basic contacts and prospects. So here we go. So the opportunity module here is what SAP Business One considers their CRM. As again, CRM's different things to different people, but this is what we're using today. So you have the sales opportunity, and you basically just pop here a lead or a customer, and you get more information: the contact person, the amount invoiced. You get the territory, you get the default sales employee, you get the owner. Actually, pulling this up, it's a little narcissistic. I'm everywhere. I'm everything to everybody here. And this gives you some basic information. So, right off the bat, I can say, what's the opportunity name? I'm going to call this webinar example. This can be something more applicable to your opportunity. And I can just guesstimate, is this going to be a quick sale, 30 days? You can choose your predicted closing date based on the calendar and maybe a potential amount. So right now, maybe I'm just guessing it'll be 10,000. So I can just do this very, very quickly. This is all that you really need in terms of a basic opportunity. So you can say, at least this is on the board, and we can see throughout the company that I have an opportunity that's come in, and I can see what the potential amount is. From here, you have so many more options. We have a level of interest here. We have I'll say medium. We have a gross profit percentage, and a total, which I'll show you when we start to do and define an actual sales quote later in the stages. You have an interest range, so we can say, for example, SAP Business One and maybe some IT services, and you want to select one as primary. And then we'll go through each of these tabs. And in the general tab, we have a channel code. So maybe you have, an outsourced sales team, or you have some sort of business partner that brings you leads, or a referral maybe. You can add this, and this is optional as a business partner, something to link things to. But you can track things that are really important to finding out where your leads are coming from. Information source. You can say, was this from the website or from a trade show? You can say what industry we're in, and you can customize these all to what makes sense for your business. So we're going to just say today it's distribution, and it came from our website. The project is interesting because you can trigger projects off of, say, a trade show. You can do an internal project for trade shows, and then you can say, well, let's see what this actually brought for us. So you can say, what opportunities did this bring? And also what sales quotes, if you do quotes directly from a trade show. So this project is always a great place to track that information and keep it all in one spot. So remarks can be whatever you really want it to be. So usually this will be some sort of sales strategy or just more notes relating to this opportunity. So if anybody else looks here, or some other salespeople have to pick up the ball where you left it, you can kind of see what's happening there. Stages is where you get to more of the meat and potatoes, if you will, of the opportunities. So this is where, you know, we can customize your sales cycle, and this is one that's roughly standard in terms of what I've seen. So you get a lead in, you do the first meeting, second meeting, quote, negotiation, and then eventually end with an order. So this can literally be one single stage as a sale, but it's nice to be able to track in the different stages and track your activities in each stage. And if you had multiple quotes, you can have multiple quote stages, and you can link those documents in there. So in this case, I'll say, maybe I had already done the lead stage. I'm going to add a new row, and I'm just going to go up to the quote stage. I'm going to add a sales quote, a new one here. I'll add a couple of items really quickly, and there we go. I've added it. It's going to say update amount and gross profit, and I can see here that it has updated the potential amount, the weighted amount, and the gross profit and gross profit total as well. So you can, you know, this, I'm accelerating the timeline here, but you can see as things were moving along, with really quick, not too much work here, you can track and see who has what opportunities on the table. Now, this closing percentage you'll see at the top here is estimated, and you would initially have to give me some sort of indication of what percentage would likely be closing from each stage. But later on, I'm going to show you a report that will give you your actual statistics. And it'll help you to tune this and to really understand the realistic, kind of the real understanding of your pipeline, and I'll also show you the pipeline report later on as well. Okay, so from here, again, this is usable by anybody in the company. They can come in here, they can see a lead, a quote, and see exactly what was quoted. And with the activities, I'll show you an example with the mobile phone. You can add activities to each stage in order to say if you had a meeting or a phone call, you know, critical things that you want to store. And I get that's optional. If you don't want to do that, you don't have to do that. You can keep it super simple, or you can have it tracking more. And I find that the people that require a little bit more tracking, you know, they get more out of it. They get more out of it with reports. They get more out of it with business intelligence. You know, you have some salespeople might be resistant to it, but the more information you have in the system, the better you can report on, the better you can understand where your leads are coming from, etc. You know, if you don't have the information, you just are flying blind, and your business intelligence will be lacking there. So these are the primary tabs. You have additional ones here. Partners, so this could be something like IT or a subcontractor linked to somebody who would be doing specific work for you. A very common one in the, say, oil and gas industry or several industries would be like an engineering firm. Oops. So you could switch this and say who's doing the engineering for this, or any sort of scenario for a partner that you're going to be working with. Again, not required, but something that's useful. Competitors, obviously, you know, if the lead is transparent, you know, you might get some sort of indication of who else is bidding on a project, so you can add those people up here, see their threat level, add remarks to it, and, you know, hopefully not, but, you know, if they do win over you, then you can analyze these particular opportunities where the competitor has won, and you can, you know, kind of determine and review why they might have won over you. The summary tab here is, it has your status, so ultimately once you've either won or lost, you can come through here and say whether we won, what the last document was, whether it was an order or a delivery or an invoice, depending on when you kind of end the opportunity. And if it was lost, for example, you could do a reason why, and these can be customized. So you could say pricing, product, quality, etc. And this is a really good way to get more business intelligence again. You can do a Pareto analysis, a chart kind of just tallying up a count of the most used reasons for why you're losing opportunities, and you can compare those by sales employee. Maybe the presentation that the sales employee is doing is not emphasizing specific parts of the product that you want to emphasize. Maybe a competitor is talking heavily about, your product quality being bad, so you can shore that up with more material and market material, and that is just an example of business intelligence. It gives you a brain to what you are doing and gives you real insight on what's happening. But if you don't have this information in the system, you won't know that. So that is, the reason why, and the why for the salespeople to do any of this. And again, you want to keep it simple, but you also want to capture this data. Okay, so I'm going to add this here, and now, for what everybody's been waiting for, let me just switch over to the app here. So this is the SAP Business One app. This is the default window here. And two questions and then a new one that I just got from today. So licenses. Do the sales employees need licenses? And the answer is yes. You need at least a limited CRM license in order to have access to this. You do have to have access to SAP in order to log in here. So it's not completely external. You can use the limited CRM license, but you will be limited to the functions of the limited CRM license. So you can just do quotes and orders and opportunities. So it works well, and that license is a lot less costly than, say, a pro license. Second question that's extremely common is authorizations. And the authorizations of the app are the same as the authorizations of your SAP Business One system. So you have no access to orders, you won't have access to orders in the app, et cetera, et cetera. The third question that was asked today.
Mike, I've got a question on this. So just for 2 seconds. I think the app is free though, right? It's a downloadable app if you've got the limited CRM?
Yes, actually that's a great point. The app itself does not require any additional software. It is free to download. You can download it right now from the App Store. This is the iOS. It's also available in the Play Store for the Android devices as well. So you can try it today with a demo set of data. So if you go ahead and download that, it's just called Business One. Not Business One Sales, it's just called Business One, and then you'll have a demo system in there, and then you can play around with it. But yeah, as Tracy mentioned, there's no additional licensing cost. We just have to set this up, and we'll make an SSL certificate for you, and then you need the phone or the iPad or the tablet device to have the certificate before they can connect your system. So it's a very secure connection.
So again, with this, Mike, and this is just a question because I had one earlier. So this does work with an iPad because I have a customer that's on Apple, and he says that Apple doesn't work with SAP, and this does work with your iPad.
Yeah, absolutely, and that was my kind of final comment question here. And it is designed natively to work with iOS. It was with iOS being iPhones and iPads first. So, anybody that says it doesn't work with an iPad, it's incorrect. It is optimized for an iPad, actually. I just happen to be using an iPhone to show you an example here. You can use iPhone, so you can use an iPad, and it actually is especially sized for an iPad too. Or in this case, I'm just showing you on the iPhone more of kind of a mobility thing. So you can do it both ways. The iPad just has more space and you can kind of run larger reports. But it definitely works there. But you also have your Android tablets, and yeah. So here you have the basic screen. This is key performance indicators. These are defaults. These can be customized. You can modify them and do custom queries here too. You also have kind of a to-do list. So, imagine that there. I have to do a webinar, but you can see tasks that you're working on or different things in there. But you also have links to, whoops. Oh, and I was logged in too long there waiting. Okay, and so you have access to a lot of different modules. I've customized this a little bit, but you can see that you have alerts. So if you have alerts triggered in Business One, they'll appear here. Not shown is approvals. So you would be also able to approve documents on the go if you're using the default out-of-the-box SAP Business One approval system. There's also a service component. I left that out of here, and we're just going to be talking about the sales opportunities, sales quotes and orders, and reports. But to note there at the bottom, you can see you can review business partners. One thing that salespeople have said is useful is just double checking addresses. So you can see business partners there and double check the addresses. You can check your inventory stock levels. You can check your price lists. And also you can run the dashboards from here too. So that's really nice.
Mike, I've got
in this
the chat box. Somebody who was asking if you can have an iPad and iPhone on the same account.
Yes, if you are up to like 9.1 PL 11 or 15 or something, I would have to look into it for you. But if you're on a 9.2 on a newer version, then what we can do is put multiple device IDs. In the older versions, this was not possible, but now with the newer versions, you're able to have multiple on one device. I have not. I mean, if this is trying to kind of maybe work around and have like a single sales license, use it on multiple devices, obviously we don't recommend that. I believe it's going to kick you out of one device, and then the other device would be so if one device logged in, it'll kick the other user devices off, etc. So you end up with that kind of same logic of trying to share the desktop version. So, but if you're a single user with an iPhone and iPad, then for sure, yeah, you can. If you're using one at a time, then that's supported now. Okay, another thing to mention is you can add UDFs to this. So, if we're looking in the settings here, you can add user-defined fields, and you can customize which ones are going to show here. I'm not going to add any here, but this allows you to capture any of those special fields that you've added, and that allows for kind of custom processes, drop-downs, and other things to be used right in the mobile system too. So previously this wasn't available, and UDFs would be a little bit disregarded, but now they're all rolled in. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click my sales quote, and I'm going to see here opportunity with Mike Taylor. This is the one that we just did. Our webinar example, you can see the business partner, sales employee. Again, my name is all over the place. Sales strategy or more notes, status, closing rates, the current stage that it's on, and remarks. I'm going to jump over to the stages. You can see the lead and the quotation. In this case, I am going to jump right into the quote that was made. I can see the dates there, and I can actually jump into the document itself here, so you can see what the contents are, what the logistics are, and actually from here you can go and you can actually view the layouts in Crystal Reports, and Crystal Reports is supported natively in this app in both the iPhone and the iPad version, so you can actually run any report that you can see in SAP right here. So this is the full Crystal Reports document layout that I have for this particular demo database, and I can send it right to the customer prospect right from here. So I don't even need to log into my system. I can send it directly from there. The other thing that's neat is going back to the stage is I can go to my activities and I can add an activity. So say I had a quick phone call, I don't want to, there's no real replacement for the desktop version, but in this case, if I'm just leaving the customer or the prospect and I want to say, had a great meeting, and I just want to add that really quickly, I can save that in 2 seconds, and then I can, if there's any particular notes or follow-ups that I had to do, I can see that back in the system. So I'm going to jump back here to my sales opportunity, and I'll just show you that immediately we're going to see that in the stages. I can see related activities, and I can see had a great meeting. If I had contents and other things there, I can see that as well. So if I needed to follow up. So you can see that instantaneously you have the link between the opportunities in your desktop version and on your phone, and that is going to sync up, and it gives you that nice capability to be on the road and to do things so you don't have to come back to the office, and you half the time you don't remember things, and or you forget them, so you lose a lot of that benefit. So the other thing too is, maybe you're on site, you give them the quote, this is the second meeting, you go to the quote, and now they're ready to roll. Oh, you can't see my, sorry about that. You head back from the stage back to your quote. So I'm in the quote here, I check the contents, it looks like everything's great. If I had to edit things, I can actually edit them from here. But they're ready to go, so I can actually go from here. I can edit the quote, cancel the quote, or even copy it to an order. And copying it to an order allows me to come through here. If I need to add remarks or change the ship to or modify the items, I can do everything I can do basically in the desktop version, and then I can click Save. And by clicking Save, this is going to go and it's going to update the quote. It's going to trigger your next processes. You're on the road, and boom, now your warehouse will get their pick lists printed out, and automatically you're going to see that everything is kind of flowing, and you can go on about your day. You can go on to your next sales call, and you don't have to worry about it. Things are processed in the back end, and everything hooks in together. So you can change the delivery dates on there, you can edit it, and change a couple of things before you place the final order. Another thing, again, relating to Crystal Reports here is this Reports tab. So because this is an iPhone, it doesn't have as much space as the iPad. The iPad, you can kind of tolerate more kind of, landscape style reports, but I've also made a few custom Crystal Reports here that are portrait shaped that can really easily let you view specific pieces of information here. So I can look at my open sales order list. This is very generic, but you can see that I can check out what's on order. I can see what's open for myself here, and I can even do some dashboarding and some charts and things in order to give me a really good a really good idea of where I'm sitting. You can see this is a demo database, so a lot of this information is pretty old. But nevertheless, you can do anything that you can do in Business One in terms of Crystal Reports, and it'll run directly from Crystal Reports into the mobile system too. Again, you can run the desktop size reports from your mobile device and send them. You can see the send button up in the corner. You can do that if you want as well. So if you have to be on, you have to do something, a sales summary or something, and you want to send it directly from your mobile device, again, you can just get that done while you're on the go. So I wanted to jump back quickly here to SAP and look at some of the opportunity reports. There's some great reports here. I'm going to focus on two. One is the stage analysis. So just clicking through here, I mentioned the capability to understand what your actual closing percentages are from the various stages. So you can see what you had closing from the lead, and again, this is a little skewed and unusual from, we're closing a lot from the lead, but again, this is a demo database, but you can see based on the sales employee, if they happen to be choking at a specific point and maybe they need some support in the negotiation phase, maybe their quotes are just constantly being rejected, maybe you need to review them. Again, this is part of this business intelligence thing that makes your business so much better rather than just kind of flying by the seat of your pants. This is where you truly become a medium-sized business, and you're not a small business kind of just letting everything happen how it happens. The last thing that is a giant benefit from using a CRM module like this is the opportunities pipeline. So you have this kind of popsicle looking thing, and this shows you your divisions based on the different stages. So you can see if you're jammed up in the prospects, maybe your pipeline is, maybe everything's dying on the vine, and you have this giant lead section, and you can double click in here and see what opportunities are there, and see maybe you can support some of these different sales employees on building their quotes and getting in the door. And again, it gives you kind of real actionable, intelligent ideas of what's going on, and you can see where things are running into trouble to support people and to tune up your sales team and to keep things moving along. So this is kind of a nice little distribution here. You know, there's always going to be a bit of a stall in a quote phase and then, you know, negotiation. So this is just another great tool involved with the opportunity and all the data that you put into the opportunities. So that's my presentation for today. If there are any other questions, specific questions, just let me know now, or you can always come back to us later or contact Tracy.
Yeah, but if
anybody have any questions?
Like, that was really interesting. That was really fun. Robert, do you have any questions? Because you had a lot of questions regarding the iPad, the iPhones. Look, if nobody has any questions, everybody, thanks. Mike, I record this, by the way, and if anybody wants a recording of it, send me an email.
Oh,
you my email there at Tracy. What's that?
Oh, I heard something.
Tracy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How's it going, Robert?
I have a quick question.
Go ahead.
We have a license, obviously, for the SAP from Cloutier on our desktop PC.
Right.
Do we need a separate license if we go to an iPhone or iPad? Or do we tag on to that license?
Yeah, it is done by the user in SAP, so whatever SAP's desktop license is, it's the same authorizations and the same license level as what you have in the desktop. So it'll link right up there, so there's no additional licensing required. It's approximately 4 hours of configuration time, just as a total rough estimate, depends on the number of users, etc. But it's about 2 to 4 hours to get the system set up and configured. So that's the.
I'm asking because like we would have 2 iPads and 2 iPhones, so each one has to be set up separately.
Yeah, each one, it's for security purposes, I need a device ID, and each one of the devices needs a certificate emailed to it. So we generate an SSL certificate on the server, install it into the B1I framework, and then send it out in order for you to connect remotely on the device. So four devices is very reasonable. I have a kind of standard workflow, and I'll just work with the individual users, get the device IDs, and yeah, it should be pretty straightforward. So just talk to.
They have to be relatively new iPads, like an old iPad.
I don't, you know, if you can run the app, reverse compatibility with iPhones and iPads is generally pretty good. I can't, as long as you're, you know, up to the 9.0 at least. I know iPad 2, I think they stopped pushing updates to it, so as long as you're on the 9.0-ish range, I don't think it's going to be an issue. I haven't seen it be an issue, so you know, we can give it a try, but yeah, I don't think it'll block it as long as you can run one of the newer versions of the Business One app, which I think is still compatible.
Yeah, and
Thank you very much.
What you can do for that, Robert, you see the support email there, support@forgestic.com, with your annual maintenance that you guys pay for. This is free, so any questions that you have, you can send it to support and we can help you out with this.
Okay. All right, so we'll see what we're going to do from here. Thank you very much.
Well, great, thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And, our next presentation is going to be on the 17th of March, so in 2 weeks. We're going to be covering asset management and amortization. So thanks, everybody. And if you have any questions, send us an email. And thanks so much, Mike. Very interesting.
Yep. Thank you. Bye for now.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.